Hi, it's Danny Beck, and I've been putting some writings on the web channel, looking at the wisdom of Jesus on YouTube. And I was preparing for kind of a wrap up of some of the parables, uh, different takes on the parables that I was sharing. And I came across this little treasure trove of writings, and one of the is a parable. Um, uh, of the potter, and this is probably 10, 15 years old, uh, but I think you'll like it. So here it goes. Uh, a potter was working the clay one day, and as he was forming the mouth of the pot, something magical happened, and out of the pot came a sound, and it was the sound of a voice, and the voice was speaking words, and pretty soon several of the pots had learned to speak. Now the potter thought, well, this is amazing. I was so tired of working alone. It's nice to have the company of the pots. And so the potter heard the voices of the many pots that he'd formed, and he was happy. Now the potter made pots of all colors and sizes, and pots for every purpose, every use imaginable. But each of the pots was only aware of what they were full of, and it was hard to see inside most of the other pots. But from time to time, um, they could see some of the things that went into and came out of the other pots, and they could also see uh, once in a while uh, that when a potter left the workshop, the pots would talk amongst themselves, and some of the pots became good friends, and still others were not such good friends. And one day, one of the pots whispered to the potter, "You know, I was talking to some of the other pots, and well, are you aware that some of the pots have really terrible things inside of them?" Well, from that time on, the potter began to question if he had truly made every pot for some good purpose. As time went by, some of the pots began to question why the potter had made some of the other pots at all. And they began to criticize the work of the potter. And some even mocked him behind his back, saying, "Do you think the potter is blind?" And still another would say, "He's like a potter with no hands." And so, overhearing them one day, the potter looked at his work differently, and he began to see what the pots were all talking about. He understood how that some really disgusting things really were inside of some of the pots. He became so overwhelmed one day, he took an old iron rod that he used for breaking the ground and prying the clay up to excavate the clay. And he took that rod, and with a mighty, powerful arm, he smashed those evil pots into 1,000 pieces, so they never held or poured out anything ever again. Then he fashioned the rod on its end in the center of the workshop, and it served as a reminder to all the other pots he'd made that each was created for a good and wonderful purpose. Thank you for your time. That's the parable of the potter. You can also read potter references in Jeremiah 18, Isaiah 29, Isaiah 45, Isaiah 64, Psalms 2, verse 9, and Revelation 2:27. Thank you.